Welcome to episode 19 of the This Is Reportage podcast. My name is Alan Law, I'm the founder of This Is Reportage, and I'm a wedding photographer too. Today, I'm really excited to have the fab Rocio Vega with us. Rocio is one of our top photographers of 2019 and has won 6 awards from us, including 3 Story Awards, which is an awesome feat. She says so much today, including being empathetic and the importance of that, not shooting what everyone else shoots, one of her favourite current Netflix series and why she recommends watching it, especially if you've got kids. How moments are like waves and searching for the peak. Her relationship with a fellow brilliant wedding photographer, Franck Boutonnet. Adding variety to your inspiration diet and so much more. And before we get on to Rocio, though, I just want a quick word about obviously the thing that's on all of our minds, coronavirus. This episode with Rocio was actually recorded 6 weeks ago. So if you're wondering why we don't talk about it in the episode, that's because it wasn't what it was back then. Also, I had, almost 2 minds about whether to be putting out another podcast episode, really, when obviously everyone's minds are on something else. But, my personal thoughts, and I'm not a virus expert. I'm not a contract law expert, I'm not really, I'm not an expert at anything. But my own personal viewpoint is that we've just got to carry on. We've got to carry on. We've got to stay positive, even though I know I'm in the same boat as everyone in anyone that's in the wedding industry, virtually any industry around the world, isn't it? But specifically as us as wedding photographers, it is very scary. It's scary. We can't deny that. But the community has been so good, as it always is, banding together to help each other out if we can't make it, and offering loads of different tips and advice on how they're dealing with some postponements. And I also hear good stories, how it's not all doom and gloom. It's not all just cancellations. There are lots of people who still want to get married, obviously, and they're postponing to kind of midweek dates at times as well. So yeah, we just need to carry on, stay positive, and hopefully, I've had feedback before about how the podcast, people have been listening all over the world, and listening to it has made them feel a bit more connected to the community and not so alone. So hopefully I'm going to carry on with these and carry on obviously with Reportage and all my own personal wedding photography as well. And I hope you all we'll do the same and stay as positive as we can. But anyway, enough of that. On to Rocio. Hey, Rocio, how you doing?
Hello, Alan. Fine, thank you.
Good stuff. Thank you for talking to me.
Oh, thanks for asking.
Oh, it's an honor to be speaking to you. It really is. How's things with you? Are you in Spain at the moment?
Yes, I'm in Spain. I'm actually home, so it's good. And today's a sunny day. It's rare, but it's good.
Rare? Isn't it always sunny in Spain? No?
I know everybody thinks that, but it depends on where you live, and I live in the north.
Oh, okay.
Or northwest, actually. I live near the mountains. So actually from my window, I can see the snow in the mountain, and it rains a lot. So it's a really beautiful place because it's green. But so far I have been here for 2 weeks and it's been raining every day except today. So it's nice.
Oh, that's good. That's good. It's sunny. It's a sunny day in Britain at the moment as well, and that's rare. So that's all good.
That's good.
And how are you doing at the moment? Is it the kind of quiet season for you at the moment, I guess, as it is for all of us?
Is there a quiet season? Honestly, it's like I always have so many things to do. Like, okay, all my weddings are delivered. Everything is done. That was in December. I took some free days in January because I have a special visit from my family. And but still, you're always doing something. And now it's been 2 weeks, like really productive weeks. I'm doing a lot of keynotes, PDFs and information and gathering this and doing that and making this better and my website and it's thousands of things. So yes, it's quiet but busy.
You do sound busy. Yeah, because you recently announced a couple of workshops as well, didn't you? Is it in Rotterdam and Madrid? So are you preparing for those and things?
Yes, so I'm preparing for those. I have the workshop in Madrid and a workshop in Rotterdam. So, and I'm putting in new information. And I have to do it twice because I have to do everything in English and then everything in Spanish.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and most of my material is in English. So I'm translating everything to Spanish. And so it takes time.
Yeah, I bet. You must enjoy your workshops. You've done quite a lot of them now, haven't you? And speaking at conferences, I guess you enjoy them. Do you still get nervous about doing them?
Oh, yes, but like I like to think it's not nervous, but it's excitement.
Right.
So always before you give a speech, you're nervous, you're excited about it, and I always try to feel the ambience, and I want to give. So it's a big responsibility for me. I think that being a speaker, it's a huge responsibility. So I take it as that, and I like to be prepared and everything. So you're always nervous, but once you do the first step and you start, it's like if I double myself. So it's like I get out of my body. And sometimes I even have conversations with my two me's in my head. It's so weird.
That's cool though.
It happened to me the first time I gave a speech in Spanish, because I always most of the time I give it in English. And so I'm used to talk in English, to say the things my way in English. If I make a mistake, I'm okay, because I'm not an English speaker, so everyone is good with that. And but in Spanish, it was in FDF in Sevilla, and it was super funny because for 1 week I was with Luis Garban. We were hanging around all the time, and for me, the Mexican accent is super contagious. Super, super contagious. I grew up watching Mexican TV, you
Oh,
know?
okay, cool.
So for me, it's natural. And then I was speaking in Spanish, but with a Mexican accent. So inside myself was like, oh my God, Rocio, you're speaking Mexican. I was like, yes, I know, shut up. Just let me go on. And actually at the end, some people were like, oh, we thought you were Colombian, but
That's
in my
funny.
head, I have a mix of things, like Colombian Spanish, Spanish from Spain. When I am with a Mexican or somebody else, I tend to, I'm a really empathic person.
Okay.
So I've learned that when you're empathic, you try to unconsciously, you speak like the other person speaks,
Oh,
because
okay.
that way you are like in the same channel. And so, for example, if I'm with a Spanish speaker, but that is not native, and they speak a weird Spanish, if I'm with them more than 3 days, I will start speaking that weird Spanish too.
Do you think that helps you bond with your clients as well, and the people you're photographing, at a wedding?
Oh yes, of course. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's all about empathy. It's like, but it's things that you do unconsciously, and you mirror ways of expression, how you move your hands, how to sit down, and also the speaking part. And some things you can do consciously, but most of the things you can do it consciously, like for 5 minutes, but
Mhm.
then afterwards you just forget about it. So, and I think I am really empathic person. Like when I'm with someone that wants to cry but cannot cry, I cry for them.
Oh, that really is
Yes.
empathic. Oh.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. You have to learn to accept it,
Mm.
and to learn that you're crying, but that doesn't belongs to you. I don't know if you get my.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know what you mean. But I guess that high level of empathy must really help with capturing moments.
Oh,
It's so
yes.
integral.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think it's a great tool I have. I feel blessed because I have this ability. And it's amazing because I can see when I can feel, not see, I can feel when somebody is getting emotional, when someone wants to cry and they don't allow themselves. I feel it.
Mm.
So I think that helps me, especially to predict that a big emotion is going to happen.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I observe, so I see the hands, and with the hands, people speak a lot. So I'm always looking at the hands, like so when people are moving their hands, are touching, or doing some weird things, I know they're getting emotional. So I get ready. So if they cry, I am ready for it because I can feel it.
That is,
Makes
well,
sense?
that's cool. Have you always been empathic, empathetic? Empathic's not a word. Empathetic. Like, have you always been like growing up as a kid, or is this something that's happened to you from being a photographer?
Oh, I think I've been always like this. Now I'm more conscious about it. I was not conscious about it before. And I read a lot about it. And it's like everything in life, it's like a muscle. So if you train yourself, if you know you have an ability and you don't use it, it is there. But if you use it consciously and you work on it, it becomes an amazing tool.
Mm.
So yes, I think I started working on myself. Well, actually, when my son was born 11 years ago, and it's been a it's been a long journey. I've been done a lot of things and read a lot of things and therapists and things and blah blah blah. But all this grew up in me in many ways, and one of the ways is also empathy. Yes.
Well, that's cool, and you can see it in your work, in the moments you capture.
Thank
Um,
you.
you were born in Colombia, I think, and
Yes.
as you said, and then you went to Spain to study cinematography. Is that right?
Yes,
Uh,
when I was 20 years old.
right. Okay. What were you like as a kid, and how did you get into weddings then?
Oh my God. So, like I just gave a speech about this.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So I feel so good. I can tell you exactly.
Okay,
But
that's good.
the thing is that I don't think that I only know one photographer, wedding photographer, that dreamt to be a wedding photographer when he was a kid.
Mhm.
Like actually it's not common to
Mm,
dream to be a wedding photographer when you're a kid.
yeah.
So actually when I was a kid, I dreamed to be a flight attendant. But
Oh,
because I
really? Oh,
wanted
cool.
to travel all around the world.
Right. Okay.
Exactly. But then, you grow up, and when I was like 8 years old, my favorite aunt, was taking photograph classes, and so she had the camera, and I was like instantly attracted to it. And she would lend me her camera, and she was just explaining me, like the old cameras, there was this stick with a little ball, and then the other stick that moved. And she told me, you just have to align both of them, and that's it.
Okay.
And she would lend me her camera to do little things. So since I was little, I was really close to photography, but I wanted to be an economist because I loved
Oh,
math.
okay.
Yes. But actually, at the end, I was all the time doing photography and taking photography classes. And so I left everything for photography because at some point I realized that was not my thing. I started university. So I studied for 2 years, political science. Oh my God.
Okay. Wow.
And economics. And I was doing two careers. And in order to do this, you have like 2 years of trial, and you have to have really high grades so that they accept
Okay.
you in both curriculums.
Mhm.
So I was for these 2 years, and I had like 4.3/5 in my grades. And then I received this letter that that tells me that I am good to do the two programs,
Oh,
you
cool.
know. But the day I received that letter, I remember so much. I was in the stairs in the university, in the University of Los Andes. It's one of the best universities in South America, in Colombia. And I remember reading this letter, and I didn't feel anything. I didn't feel joy. I didn't feel it in my chest.
Yeah.
And that was the moment when I realized, oh my God, I cannot do this in my life. I cannot
Wow.
do something that I'm not thrilling about. So
Mm.
that was the exact moment when I decided that I was going to stop all that and I wanted to do photography.
Wow, that's quite a moment.
Yes.
And then, so how did you go from that realization to really getting into photography then?
So then I started thinking, what do I do? I wanted to study in Colombia, but my family was not very happy with the idea
Oh,
that I was
okay.
leave all these things just for photography. And like in South America back then, in Colombia, being an artist and photography was like, what? What
Mhm.
are you going to do of your life? And then so I wanted to go to United States, but it was too expensive. So then I wanted to go to Australia, but it was too far away.
Mm.
Then I wanted to go to Italy, but I had to learn Italian super mega fast. So it was like, okay, let's go to Spain. And that's why I ended up in Spain.
Right, okay. Well, was it quite easy to just go over to Spain then and start going to university there? And
Wow, like everything at the beginning, it's really hard. So but I managed. My family accepted. My grandmother was the one helping me out. She said,
Right.
if young people want to fly, let them fly, because she made a lot of questions to me, and she made a lot of propositions, like keep on studying and just do a side photography. And I was like, nope. Or you can keep on studying, and when you finished, then you do photography. And I told her, I don't want to be 40 years old, look back and see that I've wasted my life doing something
Mm,
I don't like.
yeah.
And then she was like, okay, you're right, so you just have to do it. And so I had to do it. My mom was helping me, just like paying something, but then I had to work. So I arrived to Spain, and I was an English teacher.
Oh,
So
were you? Wow, that's cool.
yes, English has helped me
Wow.
so much.
And did you know anybody in Spain when you moved over? Did you have any
From
family or
a
anything?
far cousin from my mom,
All
she
right.
was
Okay.
living in Spain, so she welcomed me in her home for 1 month, and that helped a lot.
Oh,
Yes.
that's okay. Cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. So you were teaching English, and I can hear your English is great. That's so cool.
Thank you.
And then you were studying cinematography. So then how did you get to do? How did you get into weddings in the end then?
So I studied cinematography because it was like, in my mind was like, oh, just studying photography, it's like too weak.
Mhm.
So first year I did cinematography and lighting, and so to be a director of photography, and it was just amazing. But then the second year was going to be like for TV, and I was like, oh no, that's not my thing. So I changed, and I went to FT. This is the best photography school in Spain,
Oh, cool.
and I studied photography, like general photography, for 1 year. And when we were here in these classes, a guy came and he offered a job for the Saturdays for weddings. So, I was paying my own things, and I was like, okay, cool, I will do that. I hated every single Saturday of those.
Oh, really? Oh no.
But I learned what I didn't like and what I didn't wanted to do. So
Ah,
that
okay.
was a really good thing,
Mm.
because you arrive there at 8 in the morning, and they will tell you, you go to this place and you do this. And you were lucky if they give you two weddings, because sometimes you were just doing one part of one wedding and the other part of another wedding. So that was
Oh,
great, because at the end you work the same amount of hours, but you charge double.
right. Okay. Cool.
And but you have like really restricted things. Actually I started by doing the video.
Oh, did you? Oh,
And
cool. Okay.
yes, it was such a big camera. You cannot imagine, like, these big cameras in your shoulder, and then with the big batteries for the lighting and all these things. It was
Okay.
awful, but it was everything really staged. Like, look at the flowers, look at me, put your face
Right.
like this with the tree, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
It was horrible. I hated it. But then I moved from Madrid to Zamora. It's a small city. And so I said, okay, I want to work on photography. And the only thing I know how to do and how to earn money could be weddings. So that's
Mm.
how I started. But so at that point, I knew what I didn't want to do, but I didn't know what to do. So
Okay. Cool. Because
that's how it started. It's
that's
almost
cool.
18 years ago.
Wow, that is a long time. I think that was probably really good. You started from the beginning, though, knowing what you didn't want to do. That is almost as important as knowing what you want to do.
Yes, I think it's really important to know what you don't want.
Mm.
Yeah.
So then, how did you get your very first like paid wedding? Of your own. How did that happen?
So when I arrived to Zamora, I went to all the photographers there. Nobody wanted to hire me. So
They're
I
lost.
put,
They're lost. Look at them now, but they're regretting that.
oh my God, I think so. And then I met a girl. She had a store, and we bonded really well, and we were talking, and I talk about this, and she said, "Oh, I have a friend that is getting married, and they don't want a photographer because they don't like the pictures." So I said, "Okay, so I can do it." And so the first year I shot 4 weddings like this.
Okay.
And then after that, I think I shot like 20 the
Wow.
year after, and then the 30, and then I was just in business.
Right. Yeah. Wow. It was a quick rise then, really.
Yes, but things were quite different back then. Really, really different.
What you mean in a kind of less competitive way, or?
Wow. So it was easier to be different because,
Okay.
like everything was local. There was no internet thing, or at least I didn't know about this. And people in Zamora, it's a really small city, they didn't know about this. All that I knew was like what photographers were doing in this city. So everyone goes to the same street. It's a beautiful street, old street, but every single couple that got married in Zamora has the same picture.
Yeah,
So
okay.
I knew I didn't want that.
Mm.
So what I did is I went out, in the out the city, out of the city. So I was doing with sunflowers and with yellow fields and all these things. So I started doing something different.
Mhm.
And after 2 3 years of doing this, other photographers started doing this as well because people were asking for this. So
Mm.
I was like, oh no, I need to change again. So I came back to the city and I started shooting pictures in like a street photography in the other streets of Zamora that were really nice, but not it was not this iconic street.
Okay.
And then somebody started doing that, and so it was always pushing me to not be comfortable in my zone.
Mm. I think that's so important. It's great you've been like that from the beginning as well, and being different and not doing what everyone else is doing. And that's so important these days as well, to be yourself
Yeah,
and do what you want to do. Because
exactly.
yeah,
Yes.
it's such a competitive market.
Oh yes, now and like the business has changed a lot and the people changed a lot and the weddings have changed. Like before they were just getting married and that's it, but now
Mhm.
they are looking for the lights, they're looking for the details, they're
Mm.
people and that changes also the budget. Because
Mm.
before the most important thing was like photos, the restaurant and the church or wherever they were going to do the ceremony. But now their budget divides in many other things.
Mm. That's so
And
true.
yes, and now also like with globalization and all these associations and everything on internet, there's a lot of amazing photographers. And
Mm.
it's not that they were not back then, but it was easier to stand out from the crowd before.
Mm.
Now to stand out of the crowd, you have to do a lot of things.
Mm. That's so true. It is different, isn't it? It is different. Cool. Let's change tack slightly. Let's
Okay.
say, if you had 24 hours totally to yourself to do
Wow.
whatever you wish and money is no object, what would you do?
Wow, that's a tough question.
I
Because
like the tough ones. I like the tough.
yes, it depends on like I have like ideal days and I do those. So it's good. Sometimes if I'm alone. So let's say I don't have my kid and I'm alone completely, I would be home and I will be home all day and then just my sofa, my dog, and just
Oh.
walking around or watching Netflix. I'm a Netflix holic.
Oh, that's cool. What's your What are you watching at the moment? Are you?
Oh, I just finished watching Sex Education.
Oh, is it good?
Oh,
Is it good? Yeah.
it's really, 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 really good. I
Oh,
like,
that's
I mean,
cool.
in many ways, because I started watching it just to get ready to what's coming up because my son is 11 years old.
Yeah. Okay.
So the first season I watched it like that and I liked it, but this second season is just really amazing and the lighting is it's so good and the composition and the frames and the storytelling and the stories that they're there, it's just amazing.
Oh, that's cool. I'll have to try.
So
My
that would
dad.
be oh sorry.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, my dad only last week said he's just started to watch it. He's in his late 70s, and
Oh.
when he was telling me, my mom was just such shaking her head at him. But yeah, he's really enjoying it, so I should check it out. That's
Oh,
cool.
you have kids?
I do, yes, but they're very young. They're only 5 and 8.
Okay, but watch it.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Because it's the same. Life changes so much that like I'm young. I feel young, but the things that happen around me, and the kids and the teenagers, it's a different, complete new world. So I think watching things like this help you to open your mind and to see how world is evolving and what is happening and in relationships and all these things. So it's interesting. So that was one of my ideal days. Another day would be that with my son. I love to spend
Oh,
time with him, and we do doggy days.
you do what day? Sorry.
Doggy days.
Okay.
So doggy day means we don't go out at all, just to take out my dog to pee.
Oh, okay.
But and we watch movies together or series, and we love to play table games and
Oh, cool.
read and just lay down together in the sofa. That's our favorite day.
Oh,
And
that
then
sounds
my
lovely.
third type of favorite day would be just being with Frank in Frank's wooden house in the middle of the mountains.
Oh, does he have a wooden? I didn't know that actually. That sounds
Oh,
lovely.
you didn't know that? Oh my
No.
God, that's paradise.
Oh, really? Oh, that sounds cool. I was going to ask you about Frank because we heard from him on a previous episode and about how you work together. I thought it's only fair that you have your side as well. I love the Amsterdam story, for instance. Yeah. So, what's it like being in a relationship with a fellow wedding photographer?
Oh, I wouldn't describe it like that because I'm not in a relationship with a fellow wedding photographer. I'm in a relationship with the most amazing man of the world. But
Oh, yeah, of course. I couldn't really ask it like that, but yeah.
I know, I'm just joking.
No, no.
It's a good thing it's a podcast because I'm red like a tomato. So, so first of all, like being in a relationship with it's a person that I admire a lot in many ways. So in the aspect of professionally speaking, it's amazing because this is the first time I'm with somebody that challenges me professionally,
Yeah.
in photographic speaking. And it's amazing because my photography has grown up so much this past 3 years and a half because he pushes me so much and he takes out the best of me. And I love that. And I love the way also when we share ideas, it's like I have an idea, I tell him, and then suddenly he does that idea exponentially. And
Okay.
so we grow up each other, and I know his photography has now some of my influence, and my photography for sure has his influence.
That's
And that
great.
is beautiful to experiment and to see and to feel. So that professionally speaking, it has been really nice.
That's cool.
And then like in personal speaking, it's just amazing because like we both have like the same values for life
Okay.
and dreams, type of dreams. So we both love to travel, we both love our children, we both have a partial time with our kids. So that thing, it's really nice because we are in the same page.
Oh, that's so important, isn't it?
Oh yes. And it's someone that also challenges me intellectually, spiritually, and personally, and that is really amazing.
Oh, it sounds great. It's lovely hearing both of you talk about each other. I think I feel very lucky. I think that's so lovely, honestly. It really is.
Yeah,
Um,
we are
uh,
like just like pop all the time, like really, really in love. I think we're a really good match. I'm
oh,
really happy I found him in my life.
that's awesome. And honestly, from hearing both of you talk about each other, it sounds like you're both so happy. So that's just great. It's awesome. And what's it like actually shooting together, on the same day? Do you enjoy because people say it's nice to shoot a wedding with a close friend, but I mean to shoot a wedding with someone that you love must be even, I guess, even more special, really.
So the good thing is that we are a good team. So
Mm.
as I told you before, we exponential our own ideas. So it's really nice. There are some hard moments, especially because sometimes when we are working and when Frank is in the working wedding mode, he's not a human being.
Oh, really? Okay.
He's like a robot. And the people that have worked with him understand what I say. He never stops, and
Okay.
he doesn't understand tiredness or hungry or whatever. So one day, I tell you a story.
Okay,
One
cool.
day we were at a wedding in Bali. Okay, we started at 4:30 a.m.
Oh,
Okay,
wow. That's early.
it was a long day, but like they make a lot of makeup and all these things,
Yeah.
and we had to go by car super far away and come back. So it was a long day.
Mhm.
And I remember it was 7 p.m. We were already back at the venue, and they were having the cocktail, and I was starving, like really, I need to eat.
Yeah, it's
And I
important.
say, Frank, can not eat at all or eat it all. He can do whatever, like he could eat all day and he eats a lot and you're like, oh my God, how can you put all that into that little body? But then suddenly he can not eat at all in one day and
Oh,
he's
wow.
okay,
Wow.
but I need to eat. So
Yeah.
I was like, Frank, I'm tired and I'm starving. And he was like, oh, really? How come? And I'm like, it's 7:30 p.m. We've been working since 4:30 a.m. We
Oh,
just had
man.
a quick sandwich. We haven't stopped working and I need to eat. The good thing is that he's okay with it, So he's like, okay, just go rest. There's the food there. Just sit down and I keep working. But then you feel bad because
Yeah.
he doesn't stop working and you're eating,
That's
But the little secret is that at the end of the day, when you're in the party, and it happened in the first wedding we shot together. We were not a couple back then,
okay.
and he was working all day, blah blah blah. We're running all around, and then suddenly in the party, I'm a super party at weddings taking pictures person. Okay,
Okay.
so I'm doing all my stuff, and suddenly I'm like, oh my God, where is Frank? He disappeared. Okay. And I'm starting searching for him. And then if you want to look, if Frank is not there, you just have to go to the desserts table.
Oh, really?
And he's just sitting down with this big plate full of all the little desserts and eating like a little kid, like if he was a little kid that just stole these things. So now I'm doing a series of pictures of when Frank steals kids' desserts at weddings.
I look forward to seeing that body of work. That sounds good.
Yeah, it's super funny because he just transforms himself, But
Oh.
so, and going back to the question, so it's really pleasant to work with him, but sometimes it's hard because he's really pushy, really,
Right.
really pushy. So he would come to you and say, okay, let me see, and you give him your camera and and he would look and he's like, no, work harder. It's not stay here. So at the beginning it was most likely like this. So with him I learned to stay longer just to look up for a picture.
Okay.
And then sometimes he's working so hard and he's so pushy. And I remember this past year we were in Miami and we were working together, and he was just like super pushy and he was pushing me, blah blah blah, and I got mad. I was like, oh my God, let me be. But then I always, when I get into this mood, I don't always make it, but I try to step back and I have a conversation with myself. And I say, okay, so what makes you mad? Because he's really working really hard and he's pushing you and he wants just you to be better. And then I say, yes, of course. So I'm getting mad because I'm getting mad with myself because I'm lazy. And then I was like, okay, so I cannot get mad with him because he's such a hard worker and he's doing the best he can. So then you just say, okay, you just let him do and you do your thing, and you learn from him. Yes.
Oh, that's cool. I love hearing those stories about you working together. I think that's awesome. That's cool.
Yeah.
I read something you wrote recently about moments being like waves, and you're searching for the highest peak of the
Peak.
moment. Yeah, can you
Yeah.
tell us about that?
Yes. Okay. So, like a moment, it's not just one thing. It's a complete action. And the action has like the previous of the action and all the action evolving and doing. So let's say two people are going to hug. Okay. So they walk to each other, or one person walks to the other, and then the hug appears and they say something, and then suddenly maybe they look to each other and they hug again, and then they look to each other and then they go. So the whole moment, it's all this.
Right.
If I only take one picture and I'm just I take a snapshot of something that happened, but I don't know if that's the best snapshot I can take. So if I am there in the whole moment, so in my conference I say there's a definition I love in Romans, said a moment, it's what happens in 1 minute and 40 seconds. Okay.
Hmm.
So it's not that you have to stay there 1 minute and 40 seconds. Sometimes it's 5 minutes, sometimes it's just 30 seconds. And, but the thing is that if you stay from the beginning till the end, and each picture that you do, it's just trying to get better than before one, because first
Mm.
you react and you do one picture and then you say, oh my God, there's this a stick out of the head. So what if I just switch a little bit to the left and then a little bit down, and then, and you work on it, and
Mm.
you let the moment evolve in front of you, and you take all these pictures. Then afterwards, when everything is calm and you're in your computer, you can see how this moment has different, it's like a wave, goes
Mm.
up and down, and then you can be able to choose the highest peak, the highest expression of that moment. And it also depends on your mood. You can change your idea with time. Let me tell you, like, in this Miami wedding, okay, there's this picture. I have it in my best of. It's how I start. Okay,
Hmm.
I start with this showing all the moment. Okay, so that if you're curious, you can see that. You can go to search for my best of
Okay,
last
cool.
year. And at the beginning, I have this. I have all the pictures. I show all the pictures of this hug with the bride and her father. Okay, and actually, at the beginning, at this moment, this wedding was in May. And when I selected this picture, I was in Colombia. I had to go to Colombia because my father almost died.
Yeah.
And he was really, really badly. And I went to Colombia. I had just to go, like, from Thursday to Saturday. I flew to Colombia and I took
Great.
my computer and I did the selection of this wedding. Okay.
Hmm.
And the first picture I selected for them, it's one picture. They are looking to each other, but they're crying. The bride is crying.
Hmm.
And then now that some months have passed by and I was doing my best of, and I had this idea to show the whole moment, I realized I didn't select the best picture I would select, because now things are going better. My dad is doing better and I'm more happy about it. And now I realized there was another picture that she was crying, but she was happy. She
Okay.
was smiling. So now my selection is that. My
Wow.
highest peak now is that. And that also relates on what I say. It's like, depending on how you are and what you're doing and dealing with in your life, your photography is going to change.
Wow. That's so interesting, isn't it? To think
Yeah.
how us as a photographer, our mood on the day, or even as you were saying, how you were feeling afterwards in the kind of editing phase can affect what we show or what we think is important. It's very interesting.
Yeah. And you don't do it consciously, because I just
Mm.
selected that picture and I love that picture. But afterwards, I was looking at it. I was like, wow, now I think that the smiling, it's better. And now I selected this picture, you know?
Yeah.
But just because I did the exercise for my best of, because I had this idea to show it like that, you know?
Mm. No, that's cool. That's really interesting. And I loved what you were saying about, the moment being like waves and the highest peak and shooting from the beginning through to the end and trying different things and always trying to get a better image. And I think that is vital as well. And I remember early in my career, people are questioning photographers who shoot, 7, 8,000 frames or more. But it's like, I don't know how many you shoot. I shoot a lot, but I want to try, as you were saying, to make each frame better than the last one and to get.
Like, this past year, I gave a conference in a non-wedding photographer conference. Okay,
Oh,
it
okay.
was a photojournalist
Right.
conference. So when I said, I show an example, I shoot 741 pictures just to take one picture.
Right.
Okay,
Okay.
and
Wow. Yeah.
I don't shoot high blah blah blah. No, I shoot picture by picture. Okay,
Hmm.
they were like, oh my God, they were making counts and they were saying me, like, I don't know how many rolls of film they said it was. And they were just like, oh my God, you shot like 20 rolls of films just to take one picture. And they were just like blown away. But like, I think, when you have the tools, you have to take advantage of them. And
Totally.
now we can do that. And I'm happy to do that. I'm happy to have a digital camera. As I said, I don't shoot. I think if you shoot like in the burst mode, you don't think.
Mm.
and
Yeah.
it's uncontrolled. It's like if you grab a metralleta. I don't know how to say it in English.
I think I know what you mean, though.
Yes,
Yeah.
but if you go shoot by shoot, you can really perfection and really try to dig in the moment and afterwards select what's best, you know?
Totally. 100% agree with that. And you have more options at the end to choose which is the best as well. It's not a badge of honor to say you only shoot a wedding in like 1,000 frames at all. I don't see it like that.
Yeah, I think I'm around 6 to 8 thousand.
Yeah.
It depends on the wedding. It depends on how many things happens, but more or
Mm,
less, yes, would be that an average.
yeah. No, I'm same as you, and I totally agree with that approach, definitely. Um, what do you think about the overall concept of wedding photography then? I think that was interesting. You spoke at a non-wedding photography conference. Yeah,
Oh, yes.
what do you think about it?
So I think the industry of wedding photography has evolved a lot. It has changed a lot. I've been here for 18 years almost,
Mm,
and it has changed quite a lot. And I'm not sure the world outside knows exactly what is happening in the wedding industry, you know?
right.
So we actually, Frank is a photojournalist as well. And sometimes we go to events or we are in places that it's not wedding photographers, it's just photojournalists and other types of photographers. And you're having conversations with them and, oh, okay, and you're a photographer. Oh, yes. So what do you do? I'm a wedding photographer. And you can see it in their faces. Like, it's like if I say I clean bathrooms.
Right, yeah.
And so because they have this idea of wedding photography that like when I started back then, like
Mm,
what we did for wedding photography was move your face, look at the flowers, look at me, put your
mm,
hand in your cheek, blah blah blah, and these things, you know.
yeah.
But actually, I think wedding photography is one of the most complete photographies in the world.
Mm,
But there's one thing I wanted to remark about this, that it's like we as wedding photographers are also guilty of this image that the world has about us. So what do I mean? You go to Instagram and you search for wedding photographers, okay?
mm,
And then you look at their Instagrams and most of the pictures are just couple pictures.
so true.
So
Mm,
true, you know. And actually I know that if I upload a couple picture, that is going to have more engagement, more likes, blah blah
mm,
blah. It's going to reach more people than if I upload a moment picture. But
yeah.
for me, a couple picture, it's a couple picture. You can do that any day, you know. It's like
Mm,
we can just go now, right now. You put your wedding dress or you just dress whatever, and we go to the mountains and we do a nice epic picture.
mm,
That could be any moment, but the wedding, it's special. It's a lot of people are there. They're never gonna be in a place to all together ever
mhm,
again,
yeah.
ever again. And it's a moment where everyone is more open to emotions and to show and to share emotions. So me as a wedding photographer, me Rocio Vega, I feel responsible of capturing these emotions and these connections.
Mm,
And I decided to show this in my work. I can do an epic couple picture. I'm not as good as other photographers doing that, but it's not what interests me. What interests me is I'm drawn for the relationships, and that's what, because for me that's those are the important pictures
mm.
in life.
Oh, I couldn't
But
agree with you more.
yes, but if you search in Google wedding photography, you're gonna look at a lot of couple pictures.
Mm, so true. And that was one of the reasons of starting this reportage as well. I was trying to kind of push back against that and trying to make it, say, hi, people. It's more about the moments. That's what weddings are
Exactly.
about. It's not about going up onto a mountain.
No,
It's tricky though.
otherwise you just do a how is it called now? What people elopement? Yes,
Oh
you
yeah.
just go to people, your photographer, and maybe someone else, and you just get married in the middle of the mountains in a beautiful place,
Mhm.
and you do an elopement, and that's totally fine.
Yeah.
But that is an elopement. If you're doing a wedding and you're inviting all these people and you're putting all this money and all this effort into one day, it's not about a couple picture. It's about a family gathering and friends
Mm,
gathering.
yeah. It's tricky, but also, as you were saying, I also understand it from the other point of view. It's tricky for photographers who you were saying if you put a portrait up, you're probably going to get more like and
Oh,
more
yes.
more engagement, which means then their business is getting seen by more people. So I understand it's tricky for photographers who obviously want to increase their reach and its businesses. So they're torn between putting portraits up and getting more interactivity, or maybe putting a great moment up, and then it
Yeah, yeah,
not.
yeah.
It's tricky, isn't it? It's a tricky thing.
It's really tricky, and it's a tough decision to make. I was also in a conference. I hear many photographers, and sometimes I go to conferences that have many styles of wedding photographers.
Mm.
And there was this girl. She's a super. She has a really nice business, and and she was saying that nobody wants to see the moments of other people's lives,
Mhm.
so she only posts pictures of couples.
Right. Okay.
Oh, wow. And
Yeah.
it's like, oh, but she's right. So she has a huge Instagram, she has a lot of likes, and it
Mm.
works for her.
Yeah.
So I think we just, as at the beginning of my journey, as I told you 20 years ago, when I decided to be a photographer, I think what I have to do, or what I try to do, is to be aligned with myself,
Mm.
to be true to what I feel, you
Mm.
know. And right now, in this moment of my life, I am true to moments and connections, and that's what I'm searching for. So I put that out in the world, and I cross my fingers, and I hope that people that are drawn into the same things come to me. I know it's harder. I cannot say the contrary because I would be lying, and it's harder and harder to book weddings and all these things. But at least I know that 100% of the weddings that I have, it's just clients that I love,
Mm.
that I know I have this connection because they are looking for this.
Yeah.
So that work is going to get working for them. It feels so right.
Yeah. And that's what makes you happy. It's pointless doing
Exactly.
work that you don't have the heart in. That's one of the reasons why we work for ourselves, isn't it? Is to do the things that we love. So there's no point doing what we don't enjoy, really.
Exactly. But like everyone has its own different reasons and
Mm.
its own economy and its own things. And you just have to find your own way and to do, but at least to be truth to yourself. But for
Mm.
some people, maybe it's really important to have an amazing business and have 30 weddings a year. I couldn't do 30 weddings a year. I couldn't
Mm.
handle it, but not handle it like emotionally handle it, because
Right.
I give
Okay.
myself a lot to it,
Mm. Yeah.
and I wouldn't like it anymore. I've been there. I
Mhm.
shot like 34 weddings in a year with 34 engagements and with all these things, and I don't want that. I know I've been there, and I don't want that.
Mm. That's cool. Well, it's cool you know what you want. And as you're saying, yeah, people are in this business for all different types of reasons, and there are no right or wrong. We all have our different wants and the parts that we really enjoy. So we've just got to do what we want, really.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. I think that's the most important thing, and everyone does their best, and I think everyone should do their best to
Mm.
do what is good for them, because what is good for me, it's not good for you.
Yeah. And wouldn't it be boring if we were all doing exactly the same as well? That would be
Yes,
awful.
but like exactly. So this is also the edge. One of the edges of wedding photography is that there's a lot of the same.
Mm.
Like we live a day that it's quite the same everywhere.
Mm.
Like
Yeah.
the bride gets ready, they say yes, there are
Hopefully.
hugs, they eat, and
Mm.
there's a party most likely. Okay,
Yeah.
no matter where you go. So what do you find different? So that's why I believe like connecting in a personal level makes it different.
Mm.
And when you've been shooting weddings for so long, if I shoot always the same, it would get boring for
Mm.
me. So
Totally.
So that's why that's my approach. But then you go outside in the world and in wedding photographers, and because of the contest and all these things, photography has evolved a lot.
Mm.
There's amazing photographers like here in Spain in the last 7 years. Wow, it's amazing how the level of photography has rised up, you know.
Mm. Yeah.
But then you can see tendencies. Like sometimes you see a picture and you know this is from Netherlands,
Oh,
and
right. Okay, cool.
you know this is from Spain. You know, like we have this signature, and it's because we tend, consciously or unconsciously, we tend to go with the group, and then we tend
Mm.
to go in the same space, you know, and
Yeah.
visually speaking, we tend to copy, you
Hmm.
know. So that is also hard to deal with, and so I always struggle with this, and I try to please myself
Okay.
and to feel comfortable with my pictures.
Mm.
So I don't know.
Do you look at a lot of other wedding photographers' work, or do you purposefully not do that, or?
Not especially neither one thing or another.
Right. Okay.
Like
Mm.
before, many years ago, I was looking a lot to wedding photographers. Now I don't, but it's almost impossible not to see others photographers
Yeah, that's
work.
true.
But
Yeah.
because I every time there's this reportage, Fearless Awards and everything, I take a look at it because it's so amazing and inspiring, and you would be dumb if you close your eyes to that.
Mhm.
But I'm not in search of that all the time. And I think inspiration comes from many, many, many places.
Yeah.
I love this thing. Do you know Monica Munoz?
I don't know. No.
Oh, you have to know her. She's amazing. She's from Chile, but
Okay.
now she lives in Berlin. Okay, and once in a conference, she said, "If you eat weddings, you poo weddings."
Okay.
So you just have to add variety to your diet, you know.
That makes
So
sense.
yes, so I love to go to exhibitions. So
Hmm.
whenever I travel, whatever city I am at, if I'm with Frank or alone, we will always look what are the exhibitions right now. Okay, so I look at the list and I just try to go to the one that I think it's gonna please me more.
Mm.
Sometimes it's just a theater, or sometimes it's just an exhibition, a classic exhibition. Sometimes it's a modern thing, and whatever. So I try to keep in touch, looking at all these things, and also Frank. Every Christmas, he gives me a really nice photo book.
Oh, cool.
So that's nice because
Mm.
you see other type of photography and more classical photography, maybe or documentary approach or whatever. And
Mm.
I love to see also documentary photojournalists,
Right. Okay. Yeah.
and Netflix. Also,
I
it's a big inspiration.
I think it's a really good idea to have that kind of variety and inspiration. Variety is the spice of life. And I think for me, is with running this reportage as well, I can be so kind of weddings, because I'm seeing this wedding photography all the
All the
time.
time.
Yeah. Which, obviously I love it, but I think that variety, what you're saying there, yeah, does really resonate. I think that's so true. I need to be more like that, I think.
Yes, because like even if you do it or you don't, everything that you do in your daily life, it's going to have an impact in what you produce. Okay, and what we produce is photography, wedding photography. Okay, so if I watch silly videos all the time, or if I watch bad TV shows all the time, that's what I'm going to have in my energy in the back of my mind, and everything is going to smell like that. I listened to the podcast, the interview you did to Fabio Mirula,
Oh, yeah.
and he was saying he's watching cartoons and anime and all these things, and
Mm.
his pictures, if you see them, he's so funny,
That's so
and
true. Yeah.
what he looks in his daily life, it's what he's producing, and
Mm.
his weddings are exactly the same. Like, I could go to that wedding. Actually, we're gonna try to go together to a wedding this year. I
Oh,
can't
cool.
wait.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, because when you go with another photographer, it's like, oh my God, we were in the same place.
And the work is so different. Yeah.
Yes,
Oh,
so
that's cool.
which means that we all see in a different way because we are open to things or not. It's like when when your wife gets pregnant or when you want to have a kid. Before that, you don't even notice a pregnant woman. But when you're
Mm.
trying to have a baby, everybody is pregnant. Like your kid is pregnant, the woman from crossing the street, and you're like, wow, oh my God, it's baby boom around me, or what happens, you know? And it's
Yeah.
only because in your mind, you somehow you're focusing on that. And
Mm.
that was there all the time, but you didn't see it because there's so many things happening around us that if we were 100% aware of everything around us, our brain would collapse.
Mm. No, that's so true.
So it's a saving mode. It's a safe mode our brain does, and we just hide things for ourselves. And this is in the good and in the bad way. So that's why if we are open and we are searching for something, we can find it. If you don't search for something, you might not find it, you know? And so if you are looking for art, if you are looking Netflix again, but in a way like really nice shows that for me, they have to be like at least interesting or good lighting and
Mm.
good composition. Sometimes I watch like trashy things just to unplug from everything also.
Mm.
But I try to balance all these things because I want the things to be in the back of my mind to be as high quality as possible.
Mm. I think that's great. Great advice. It really is, Rocio. Let's go. Let's change tack again slightly. Well, it's
Okay.
still about photography, but I think one of your many strengths, I think, is your use of flash in your documentary work. Can you tell us
Yeah.
about that, your approach to flash, how you make it work for you?
Okay, yes. Like I started using flash off camera like long time ago. I think it was like back in 2012.
Okay.
So that was long ago.
Yeah.
I used it and then I stopped using it. And then I was entering this documentary approach and moments and all these things. So I had this dilemma inside of me, like the feeling that if I was a photojournalist in wedding, I couldn't touch anything and I couldn't, and putting light was definitely like touching the scene, you know?
Mm.
So I was really struggling, and sometimes you just go and the light, available light, is just shitty. It's
Hmm.
not good,
Yeah.
and that is not going to help my photography. But I was struggling inside of me, and as I told you, we go with Frank to many places and things, and we went to Arles, you know,
So what?
Arles.
Oh,
It's in
where's?
the south of France. You know,
Oh,
like
okay.
Vincent Van Gogh, the
Oh, okay.
coffee
Right.
painting. Okay, so in this little town, every year they do a photo exhibition all over the city. It's really amazing, and it's arts and photojournalism and all these things, and it's really nice, you know. And there I met this photojournalist, Alex Maioli, and he was there and he gave a little speech and we were able to make questions, you know.
Hmm.
And he uses flash in his documentary photography.
Okay. Yeah.
It's just amazing.
Ah.
His work is just, I love it, you know. And when you see these pictures printed so big and you see the flash, you're like, oh my God. And I feel so stupid, you know, because I'm struggling to put the flash and blah, blah, blah. And he's doing this in photojournalism. And these are pictures that are changing the world, you know. A
Right. Okay.
wedding is just a wedding.
Mm.
There's no war going to start because I took out a bottle of water or I moved something.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that helped me a lot. And since that moment, I started like taking my flash everywhere and just put it in. And if I need it, I use it. If I don't need it, I don't use it, you
That's
know?
cool. Mm.
And after that, I had a wedding. It was an outside wedding. They were going to be in the shadow, blah, blah, blah. And that was 2 years ago. And suddenly, like the bride dressing white, she's white. And he was not like his skin was more dark,
Hmm.
and he was in the shadow, and she was in the only spot of light that came in, you know.
Right. Yeah.
And my flashes were in my car, and I was like, oh my God, so this is never gonna happen to me ever again. So I
Right.
always put my flash. If I need it, I use it. If I don't need it, it is there.
That's cool. Yeah, that's great. And it works
And
beautifully.
oh, thank you. And I think a flash really, if you use it wisely, and you can use it to enhance and to tell better stories, you
Mm,
know. So that's my approach to it. It's just a tool.
totally. Yeah. And you're not changing the moments. You're not posing people just by using
Oh,
Flash at all. So,
no, 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 no. So what I say, it's like I have a documentary approach, but with an artistic view,
mm,
which means like before everything starts, like when I get to the getting ready, even if it's a house, a hotel, or whatever, if it's a house, I would go in every single room of the house, and I will let them know what I think it's best.
mm,
Okay.
mm,
And I tell them in advance this. So I will just tell the bride, oh, would you mind please getting dressed here? And if have to take out the bottle of water or the horrible painting that it's in the back because it's not hers, it's in a hotel room and no taste or whatever, I take it out, you know?
right.
But after that, I don't touch anything. I'm not going to tell her, look here, do this, kiss again, or can you repeat that? I'm not going to touch anything. But
Hmm.
before, in advance, I'm going to make decisions that will help me to clean my picture and to be better. If I can change in advance some things of the venue, like I arrive and they're placing the bride and the groom for this outdoor ceremony. If I can move something, I will. I will tell them, the person that is doing it, oh, you know, here there's gonna be the sun and the shadow. Can you please do it here or whatever? If I can.
Mm,
But if I cannot, I will deal with it the best that I can. And this is when
yeah.
my flash comes really handy. And well, not a bare flash. I never use a naked flash.
Right. Okay. It- you're like a Magmod ambassador, aren't you?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
But I don't say this because I'm a MacMod ambassador. I've been using MacMod, I think, since 2013. No, since the year they released it, I've been using it, you know.
Right. Okay. Cool.
And I'm a MacMod lover because it's easy and it plays with the light really nicely. So I have my favorite tools,
Mhm.
and I love the way it spreads light, and it really helps me.
Yeah, that's cool. And it looks great in your work as well. Do you eat the canapes, by the way? Do you eat the canapes?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Sometimes, yes. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I thought you talking about food earlier. I think you would be up for having a canape or two.
Yes, I drink Coca-Cola. Like
Oh,
in my
nice.
wedding, yeah, day, I really need my Coca-Cola is my drink, and Frank is always saying, "Drink water, drink water." I'm like, I drink Coca-Cola, I drink Coca-Cola, because I want to keep up, you know.
Yeah, it's good.
Normally, I don't drink it on my daily basis.
Oh, okay. On the weddings, it's good. Yeah, definitely. I love Coke as well. I'm only allowed real Coke at Christmas in my house.
And
Oh,
the canapes, not always, because I'm really picky. I eat really normal things, so most of
okay.
the time canapes are not that are more
Normal.
fancy, and it's
That's good.
weird, and I don't want to do a weird face, or you know, like I don't like a lot of fish or strong things. But if I see something that I like, yes, I would eat. And I talk about this with my couples before, you know.
Okay, yeah, so they know.
Yes, because I shoot around 12, 15 hours. I need to eat.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I totally relate to that. Rosie, I think we've just got time for one more question. It's gone
Okay.
so quickly. It's gone so quickly. I've
Oh
loved
my
it.
God, do I speak more than Frank?
Oh, yeah, you've been brilliant. You've been so good. I loved it. Well, I think what would be your top tips to help someone become better at the documentary side specifically?
Okay, top tips. First, and I think the most important thing is connect with yourself. Work on yourself. You know, like work on your emotions and know yourself better. Because the more you know yourself, the more you are able to face your emotions. You're going to be able to see the emotions in others. Okay, so for me, empathy huge thing. And as I said, it's something you can work on. And first, you have to be empathic with yourself. And to be empathic with yourself, you have to accept yourself and to see and dig inside. Okay. So that would be one tip. Another tip is stay true to yourself. So it's also a bit the same, like listen to yourself and work on your skills, technical skills. You can always learn. Photography is just amazing. You never end. I don't know. You're never fulfilled. You can always learn. And the more you listen to other photographers, the more you go to conferences or to workshops, the more you learn, even if it's what not to do.
Yeah, that can be just as important.
Yes, because sometimes you're like, oh, I don't like this photography. I don't want to see it, or I don't feel attracted to it. But if I have the opportunity to listen to this person, why not? Because he might teach me something, the things I don't see in a different way. And sometimes you can learn what not to do, or what not to do for you, because it doesn't work for you. You know what I mean? It's not that the person is doing right or wrong. It's not about judging. It's about learning and learning what works for you and how do you feel and how it aligns with yourself. So yes, I encourage to keep on learning, to go to conferences, to go to workshops, and to read, to look at art, to select really well what your diet.
Right, yeah, what you're putting in, that makes sense.
Yes.
Oh, Rocio, I think honestly, thank you so much for all your time and your great stories and great advice. That was awesome.
Thank you. I'm sorry I talk a lot.
Oh no, you didn't. You speak just perfectly. It was great. It's so interesting. I loved it. I really loved it. And if anyone's listening, while they're running or editing, or head to thisisreportage.com, and I'll include lots of Rocio's work and links to her website as well. And
okay. One last thing, because you just said running. Keep fit. It's so important to be in good shape, because when you're tired, you don't think the same. So that's my last advice. Keep in shape.
Yeah, I think that is so important, isn't it? Maybe don't run. Maybe not run as much as Frank runs, though, doesn't he? Runs.
Oh, that's possible. I told you he's not human.
Oh, that's funny. Oh no, Rosie, honestly, thank you so much, and I hope I get to meet you one day. That'd be lovely.
Yes, I think we might meet maybe in London this year, late maybe.
Oh, that'd be cool. That'd be great. I'd love that. I would honestly love that. That'd be awesome.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for all your time, and that was just brilliant. Thank you. See you later.
See you.
Bye, Rocio. You've been listening to the 19th episode of the This Is Reportage podcast. Rocio was fab. Thoroughly enjoyed chatting to her. I hope you enjoyed it too. Head to thisisreportage.com to see more of Rocio's work, where there's also a link to her best of, so you can see the series of photos from the hug that she talks about in the podcast. If you enjoyed the episode today, you can subscribe to our show on iTunes to be notified when each new weekly episode is ready, bringing you advice, tips and backstories from some of the world's best photographers each week. And if you have a few minutes to give us a review, that will be massively appreciated. Each review increases the chance of these fab people getting heard by more and more listeners. And if you're not yet a member of TIR, check out all the benefits of joining us, including an unlimited number of images on your profile, 60 Reportage Award and 18 Story Award entries per year, invites to our physical meetups and parties, exclusive discounts and more. Deadline for our next collection is just a week away now too, 23:59 GMT on 24th of March 2020. No poses, nothing staged, this is Reportage. And this is bye for now.